If your business runs on 5 different apps, 12 browser tabs, and one spreadsheet that everyone's afraid to touch, it's probably time for Odoo. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that connects every part of your business into one powerful, easy-to-use platform. So instead of wasting time switching between disconnected systems, your entire business works together in real time. Your team moves faster, your data stays accurate, and you can actually focus on growing your business. Let one unified system run your entire business. From the first opportunity to the final payment, everything works together in one place. Whether you're a small business or managing a large operation, Odoo gives you the flexible platform built to grow with you. Try it today for free at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
911, what's the nature of your emergency?
Welcome back to the Tactical Living Podcast. I'm your host, Ashlie Walton, joined by Sergeant Walton. Clint, how are you?
I'm really good.
This morning when I was catching up in our police, fire, military, and families Facebook group, I had noticed that there was somebody, I believe he's in our group, who was commenting on a picture that he had posted of him at the range, and his caption said something along the lines of, well, this might be my last time qualifying. And he is evidently nearing his retirement. And I think that there is a retirement that nobody prepares first responders for. And I think that a lot of people have this hit a lot harder than they realize that it will, because most people aren't prepared for it. And it's the day that their career ends. And then the question of who you are actually begins, and you need to start questioning what happens next.
And I think that really comes into play in effect when you identify yourself first as, this is who I am. You know, I'm that cop, I'm that firefighter, whatever it may be. But you start having this recognition is like, okay, there's no instruction on how to retire. I look at it as the same kind of situation as you get out of high school and your life really begins in that instance. Like your adulthood life really begins. There's not a roadmap on saying you're going to do this, you're going to do this. You can fall into other people's roadmaps of, well, I'm going to go to college or I'm going to go to the military, whatever it may be. But same thing goes with retirement. And I don't think we talk about that enough.
You know, I was preparing this episode this week, and I was thinking about two of my really good friends who I lost this year. And one of them was an active police officer. One of them was a retired police officer. And I was just thinking about how one didn't get to retire and one couldn't find who he was when he did retire because of it. When we have a first responder who goes through the traumatic events that a lot of first responders go through, it's so different than when you have a first responder who goes through all of that. And then in addition to that, also has the added stress of, work-related injury, admin mishandling of cases, when you have yourself involved in different details, especially when they're federally involved agencies that you're a part of. There could be so much more to this that makes that transition incredibly difficult. And, retirement is supposed to feel like a reward. And I think for many first responders, there is this real relief in it. But under that relief, sometimes immediately, sometimes months later, comes something that nobody warned them about. And I think it's this disorientation that's so deep that it can shake your identity, your purpose, your marriage, your mental health in ways that basically catch even the most seasonal officers and firefighters completely off guard. And this is something that I can say the only person that has ever worked in the realm of first responders who I have not seen this take form in any way is your dad.
I know. It's so funny. As you were saying that, leading up to that, I'm like, well, my dad pretty much separated himself. As soon as he retired, it was done. There was no hesitation. There was no, I never experienced, I was still living with him when he retired, and I never saw, he went into retirement like that's what he was built for. And it's so funny to, I strive for that. Like I strive for myself. When I retire, I want to be like him, as I was built for retirement. I wasn't built to work and be a cop all these years. I was worked to retire.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because you have somebody who might say, hey, what did you do for work? And somebody might say, I used to be a cop, or I'm a retired cop.
Yeah, that's a really interesting, like I didn't even consider those two different, I used to be a cop, or I'm a retired cop. Like that's actually really cool to think about. Like it shows the mindset when it goes into that. And I think it's like, I know officers that I've worked with, and I'm just saying officers, they were higher in ranks, but that I've seen ones retire that I still see on a regular basis. And I see, and then there's the other ones where I'm like, well, they all just went off into the sunset and I haven't seen them ever again. And those were other people that I was pretty close with.
Yeah, and the ones that you still see all of the time, it's not necessarily that there's anything wrong with that. In fact, if that said individual doesn't have a sense of community anywhere else, I love that you still see them all the time.
Yeah, and it's definitely cool. It's definitely good. And it's very interesting to see kind of. And what's really funny with it, it's the people that I see more often than not are the people that didn't want to be at work and didn't like being at work as much as the other ones did when they were in that situation.
You know, I see a lot of people who touch on subjects like this, and they're always very, very delicate because you never want it to be taken the wrong way, because there should not be this comparison between somebody who served active military and then had to transfer into civilian life versus somebody who is a police officer, right? But I have never heard anybody bring up the topic of that level of transition. And we have first responders who are exposed, especially in some cities in our United States of America, who it's just there is no comparison when you have a career-long exposure to trauma and high-risk situations like that every single time that you go to work. And there is no civilian transition for police officers. Like, we have so many new incorporated programs to be able to transition out of the military.
Yeah, and that's where I think, you know, you start seeing this progression of like, and I'm seeing this in our world right now for the first responders, a lot of officer wellness, a lot of being able to deal with any traumatic incident and having, because there's a lot of people jumping into that realm with it, but then departments actually stepping in to provide for their officers. But you don't see the long term of, this is how we start progressing into retirement. Like, it shouldn't be like the year you retire is only now preparing for retirement. It should be leading up to that as you're preparing yourself for it.
You know, the psychological concept is occupational identity loss and post-retirement adjustment disorder. And as it relates to occupational identity loss, this basically happens when retirement removes not just the job, but that primary structure through which you used to understand who you were, your purpose, your community, your daily rhythm, and your sense of mattering in the world. And for first responders, I think that a lot of people have their entire identity that's been shaped by the badge or the brotherhood or the mission. And so retirement doesn't feel like freedom at first. It actually feels like an amputation, basically.
And when we start feeling that like, okay, well, I don't know what to do. I don't have the structure. I don't have what's my next step, and you don't create that roadmap for yourself leading up to it. I think that's where you see them start going back into the realm of, you know, being a reserve officer, going back into that line of work, and just having to have that sense of community, which it's great to have that community, but being able to separate yourself from that too is find something new for yourself to do.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of ways that retirement catches first responders off guard. And I think the first is this loss of identity that hits before relief of freedom does.
When you identify yourself so often as that first responder, and you're not saying, like, and this is a question I raise to my guys regularly, who are you? Like, literally, who are you? And one of the first things they say is, they'll say, well, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a cop. Or I'm a cop, I'm a father. Like, they go down that list, but normally you see that cop in there as that identity marker instead of actually looking at who they truly are.
I'm expansion, by the way.
I'm compassion.
Another thing I see is that Brotherhood disappearing faster than anyone would have warned you about. And that's a shocker, right? Not just for those who retire. I see a lot of people who medically retire, they get axed out of the job. And then all of that Brotherhood, it doesn't matter as much as you think it does now.
And that's when we lean in on, because pretty much how it really pans out is when you're around that brotherhood, that sisterhood within that realm, it's always you're front of mind. You're front of mind to those people. And when you kind of drift off in the sunset, you're not front of mind anymore because there's so much that goes on a regular basis. It's not that people forget you. It's just you're not a front of mind anymore.
Yeah, the times that I see when that Brotherhood does matter still after retirement is those that have created and cultivated relationships that they have bonded with things that have nothing to do with the job.
Yeah, exactly. When you start bridging, a perfect example is like the fishing trips that we do is having that kind of tight group of people that go out fishing and us outside of work completely and not talking about work when we go fishing. You create that dynamic, that separation to be able to harbor those relationships
and prepare for retirement in ways that nobody talks about. So begin building your identity outside of the job before the job ends. And I don't care where you're at in your career. And then invest in the marriage now so that it can carry the weight of that transition later. I think too, when we do things like process the career trauma before it becomes a retirement trauma, then you can do the work now to where, a lot of people say like, I'm going to travel when I retire, like do that type of the work now, saving up before you travel, so to speak, so that you don't have to be carrying that type of trauma with you when you're supposed to be enjoying the reward of the fruits of your labor. I hope you've gotten some value out of today's episode. If you have, do us a favor, drop a review, subscribe down below. And as always, know that I'm sending you a long, tight hug from my home to yours.